One more blow before I overdose.
Hey everyone, I'm Chair Gota, and today I'm going to teach you the basics of how I make my Gota thumbnails. You're going to need three things: DaVinci Resolve, preferably with Sapphire effects installed, paint.net, and the clip you want to use. Now Sapphire effects costs kinda a lot, but there's other ways to download it. Now the reason I use Resolve over something like Vegas is, well, it's honestly just better, trust me. I'll have the download links to DaVinci Resolve and paint.net in the description. So once you have all that together, grab your clip and toss it into DaVinci Resolve. I prefer to use an image of the clip rather than the whole video, so what I do is find the exact frame I want to use for the thumbnail, go over to the color tab, right click the image, hit grab still, right click the image over here, hit export. Save the image with whatever name you want and make sure you select JPEG. Next, open up your image in paint.net. Here, we're going to separate the cells from the black background. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can use the eraser tool to manually erase the background, or just use the magic wand. Be careful that your skin isn't too dark or the magic wand will cut into it. Once you have all the cells separated from the background, duplicate that layer, uncheck the first one so it isn't visible, and now we're going to separate you from the rest of the players. You're going to have to do this manually with the eraser for the most part, but for the big cell, you can use the circle tool to draw a circle around it, invert the selection, and just easily erase everything around it. If your cursor is on your skin, you can either remove it by painting over it, or if the skin is too complex, you can go to the Gota Skins website and copy and paste the image over the skin. To do this, paste the skin on a new layer, resize it to fit your cell, select the circle tool, then grab the very top left pixel of the skin and drag it all the way to the bottom right pixel. Invert the selection and hit the delete key. Once you have these two layers done, recheck the first layer and click File, Save As, and just save it however you want, but make sure to save it as a PNG. Uncheck the bottom layer again so it's just your pieces, and do the same thing. Now you're going to drag the image with all of the cells in, and then the one with just your cells on top of it. Next, just play around with the zoom in position until you find a good spot for the thumbnail, and if you're planning on adding text to the thumbnail, leave some space for it. Now we're going to start adding effects. Make sure the video cursor thing is over the first frame of your images and go over to the Fusion tab. This is where you add effects. Since the image of just your cells is a layer above the other image, the effects will only apply to your cells. Right-click on the Media In node and hover over Insert Tools. This is where all the effects are stored. Don't worry if my list looks longer than yours, it's only because I have the Sapphire plugin I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and you don't really need them to make a good thumbnail. Okay, so I was just editing this video and I realized I completely fumbled by trying to do like a script style video instead of just, making the thumbnail and just like commentating over it. It would make it so much easier for me in editing, so I'm just going to transition over to that right now. Yeah, I ended up making that, which I think looks pretty good. I think it looks really good. I think it works for a thumbnail, but see, I'm just going to show you guys how to make that. I guess it'll turn out a little bit different maybe. But yeah, so I got the clips lined up and everything, right? So now I'm going to go into the Fusion tab. So right now, I'm pretty sure I already mentioned this, but yeah, it's only affecting our pieces right now. So I'm gonna, right click this or whatever. Yeah, right click that, go to Insert Tool, and down to Resolve FX Light, we're gonna add glow. Now, usually when I add glow, I keep the spread all the way down. So, I don't really like do the glow like that. I don't know, you can play around with it, but usually I keep the spread on 0. And then just play around with the shine threshold until it looks pretty good. And then another thing I like to do sometimes is go to Resolve FX Stylize and add a vignette. And then, over here, you're going to put the vignette mode on Advanced, and then there's going to be a little dot right here that you can drag around, and it drags the vignette around. So basically, sometimes I like to just put shadows like along the edge of the cell to give it more of like a 3D look. It makes it look a little bit cooler. And to do that, here, yeah, I'm gonna lower the whatever that anamorphism. I'm gonna lower that and then increase the size. And just do that just a little bit. It can be subtle, maybe even a little more subtle than that. Like, just move it to the right a little bit more. I think that looks pretty good. Then I can keep the Y right in the middle too. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And then to make your cells a different color, which is what I do with pretty much all of my thumbnails to keep it like one color, I go over insert tool, go up to color up here, and then add color corrector. And then you get a lot of sliders here, but we're kind of going to, that's actually really cool. It changes the color of the eyes because the rest of it's white. But really, you just need to play with the wheel up here, and when you drag it, it's gonna change every single color to whatever you drag it to. And I'll make it purple. That's what I did for the other one. But now it kind of looks a little off, so I'm gonna go back to the glow and just play around with it until it looks alright. Maybe lower the gain. Yeah, there we go. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I think that's all we have to add to the top image. So now we can drag this image to the right and go to the fusion tab, because it'll only access the fusion tab for the image that's above it. So we're gonna put this like in its own spot, so there's nothing above it. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so we're going to fusion. Now for this layer, all we really have to do is add the color corrector, make it whatever color you made the top layer, and boom, you're done. Now your thumbnail should be looking a little bit like that. Okay, I just realized I kept the crop settings on. That's for later. Don't even look. Don't even look. Okay, there we go. Now it looks normal. Oh, but yeah, your thumbnail should look like that right now. So now what you're gonna do is grab the bottom layer here. You're gonna Control C, come over here, Control V, so copying and pasting it over there. And now this is where we're gonna add the effects underneath everything. So first things first, we're going to, oh shoot, actually, for this one right here, you're actually gonna go to Fusion and you're gonna add a drop shadow. I forgot to do that on the other thumbnail. I just completely forgot. But yeah, you're gonna add a drop shadow, shadow strength all the way up, blur pretty far down. It doesn't have to be all the way down, like right there. It's pretty good. I'm just play around with the drop angle until it looks pretty good. First one, I'm gonna go right there. I mean, I'd lower the drop distance probably. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, how'd the last thumbnail look without drop shadows? Interesting. That doesn't look bad. Yeah, I don't know how I didn't notice that. Alright, so now we're gonna drag that back down. Alright. So now this is where we're gonna add the effects underneath everything. So if you have sapphire effects, you can do so many things with sapphire effects. Like, my favorite effect to use, you go to Sapphire Stylize and go to S Fly Eyes Circles, and then it'll make it look like that. And then already, like, if you add this under here, and like right now, that itself looks really cool. And then if you lower the opacity, like that itself looks really cool. Like that already, like you have a basic thumbnail. You don't really need to do anything else, but we're not done yet. But yeah, what you can do is chain effects together. So what I like to do is keep S Fly Eyes Circles like at the end. And then so right here, I'll do insert tool and add something else. So maybe I used S brush last time, so this time I'll use, I don't really know, auto paint. Sure, that looks cool. Keep it Van Gogh. I think this isn't working. Oh no, it is. Alright, let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks cool. Yeah, that looks really cool. Alright, so... Oh yeah, another thing, if you don't have access to sapphire effects, you can still like add effects underneath. You just have to like you just have to find textures online. Where's a good one? I haven't used a texture in a while, but I used to. I'll try using this one. Yeah, so once you got that in, go to Fusion, and yeah, you're just gonna add the color corrector tool and make it whatever color your background is, or your foreground, your pieces are, whatever color your pieces are. And then yeah, you'll have to zoom in. And yeah, that looks pretty cool. You change the opacity. Yeah, I like that. It adds a lot of texture. So yeah, that's an option if you don't have sapphire effects. But the nice thing about using sapphire effects is it'll kind of like outline the cells on the map with the effects. See? Okay, wait, see? So in this image, the effects are like everywhere. Like you can't control like where the effects are, obviously, unless you find the perfect image. But here, like, if you use S-fly circles, it'll kind of like outline all the little pieces all around. And I just think that looks cool. Obviously, it doesn't matter though, because you know this by itself doesn't even look too bad. But you know, this just adds that extra little bit, I think. So now, that's like, I think all I have to say about it. You can obviously add as many layers as you want. Like, if we look back, towards the beginning I used to use like so many layers. Like right here on this thumbnail I used a million layers, but obviously that's completely unnecessary. So yeah, now at this point I'm gonna add the 3D text. So what you're gonna do is you're going to drag text plus. I don't know if this is just by default over here, but you click titles and then text plus is right here, and you're just going to drag that in and then go to Fusion, and then what you're going to do is delete the template and then add text 3D, render 3D. Wait, where's merge 3D? We need merge 3D, but you want the text 3D, the text 3D. You want the text 3D to go into the merge 3D, and then the merge 3D goes into the render 3D, and then the render 3D goes into media out 1. And something else you need is to give the text some light. You're gonna click Shift and space, and then type in directional light and add that. And then the directional light is going to go into the green arrow on merge 3D. And there we go. And you're going to click render 3D, enable lighting, and enable shadows. So now to go to your text, type in whatever you want. I'm just going to use the same title that I used for the other thumbnail. Also, I use this font right here because it's really clean. Bebas, however you pronounce that. I'll put a link to it in the description, or you can just look it up. But yeah, now just wherever the text appears in here is where it's going to appear in the final product. So right now it looks like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to lower the size of it, and then go over to layout and change its positioning. So right now it's going to show up like that. Now what I like to do if the text is on the left side of the screen, I like to go to layout and go to the Y axis and just swivel it this way, about like 26 or something. And then if it's like on the upper portion of the screen, I'll move this upwards so it kind of like tilts downwards. Not too much though, probably like right there, right around there. So now, yeah, you can change the the color of your text, which since the thumbnail's purple, I'll try to keep it purple. Yeah, that's about the same color. And then the reason it's white over here is because of this directional light, and it's not really in a good position right now. So we're gonna change that in a second. But first, to make this text more 3D-y, if I can use that, we're gonna go to extrusion depth, and that's basically, yeah, just gonna give it that 3D look. Another thing we can do right now too is right-click render 3D, insert a tool, go to effect and shadow, and then that'll bring a shadow in. And you have to make sure you do it after render 3D. It has to be after. But yeah, then change the offset, and there you go. Probably make the light distance a little smaller so the shadow's bigger. I think around there. And then, yeah, that looks good. That just makes it look more 3D. Just play around with it until it looks good. Okay, so now go to the directional light. Go to transform, and you're basically just going to play around with the rotation until the lighting looks right, because it won't right away, so you're just going to play around with it. Change the color of the lighting too. You have to change it to a color that's pretty similar, so I'll make it like a purple like that. Now just play around with it till it looks okay. Obviously that don't look very good. Alright, so that don't look too bad. We're just gonna roll with that. So let's change the position again because it doesn't really look too good there. Maybe make it a little smaller. Oh, actually lower the line spacing so there's less space between the words. Alright, so right here, I mean, you could call it done. If you don't have sapphire effects, pretty much, yeah, just call it done now. But if you do have sapphire effects, click insert tool, or go to insert tool, do sapphire distort, and add S warp puddle. And yeah, set the frequency all the way down to 1. Move the amplitude down to like 0.021. Now you can drag it around, and it kind of gives it just a little warp effect, which I think looks pretty nice. Another thing too, we can add another shadow after the S warp puddle. Move it over, move it up. Just increase the blur, just so you can distinguish it more from the background. Then one more effect I like to add after S warp puddle is another sapphire effect, S warp fisheye, and we're gonna put the amount to like minus 0.08 is fine. Don't have to go like overboard on that. Then just like drag it around until it looks good. So I'm just gonna put it right there. That looks good enough for me. That's good enough for the video. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just play around with it until you like how it looks, and it disappeared. If that ever happens, just play around with the settings a little bit. Like it only happens when I have sapphire effects on like an image, and I don't know why it happens. It's just really buggy. But yeah, if that ever happens, just go to one of the S plugins or one of the S nodes you have and just play around with the settings until it pops up again. So now to add like the cinematic, the black bars around everything, and then keeping the big cell on top. If you want to keep the big cell on top, what you're going to do is you're going to select both of these layers, since they have the same position and zoom and everything, since it's just a copy. And then you're going to go to cropping down here, not crop right, and you're going to change the crop top and crop bottom. So just drag it until you like where the bar's at. And then yeah, make sure when you do crop bottom, just make sure the black bars are the same size. So that's good enough. Now you're going to do that to the texture. If you have a texture down here, do the same thing. And since this is on since this is on Y0, it's in the middle. Once I get the crop top done correct, which is right there, then you can just use the same value down there. And yeah, there's the black bars. The big cell is over it. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. Yeah, that's about it. Now we're going to do like extra coloring just to make the thumbnail look a little bit better. So go to color, and then we're gonna right click, click grab still, go down here, export, save the image as whatever. I'm just gonna spam, don't matter. Save it as a JPEG. Make sure you save it as a JPEG. And then yeah, go grab it, drag it back in here. Go to the color tab. Just do what I do. Just drag the mid/detail up to 100. That just makes it pop more. I don't really know. And then contrast. Make sure you can put it wherever you want. Just make sure it doesn't go below 1 because that just makes it look worse. I mean, obviously don't put it too high. But usually I put it around like 1.1 or a little less. Tint or temp you don't really have to worry about. The color boost, I don't really ever use. I usually like add a little bit just to make it pop a little bit more. Shadows too. I don't really play around with the shadow and highlight too much. Like I usually increase or decrease it a little bit. In this case, I think I'm going to increase the shadow a little bit. You just gotta play around with it and just find what you like. Increase the highlights a little bit. Saturation I never touch. It's basically the same as color boost. And then the hue. This is the fun part. You get to see what your thumbnail looks like with different colors. I actually really like that color. And the blue. And what I've found is thumbnails, like, I've never seen a good green Gota thumbnail. That's a lie, obviously. There's one right there. That's beautiful. Shout out Eli. He's the best thumbnail maker. Right behind me, of course. Yeah, usually your thumbnail is gonna look better in the original color that you designed it in, just because like you designed it for that color. I don't know, but yeah, thumbnail tutorial done. Hit grab still, export this, save it as whatever. Boom, you got your image, you got your thumbnail. Yep, that's the tutorial done. That's how I make thumbnails. That's how I do it. That's how I do it. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. That would be pretty cool. Got more epic Gota content on the way, so stay tuned for that, guys. Peace. I'm not gonna use that.